the Western, the genre Hollywood could truly call its own. America's foundation myth, the taming of the uncivilized frontier where a good man can triumph in the face of adversity and prosper. The fact that they were primarily American productions with American stars telling American stories did not stop the Western from being just as popular overseas, particularly in Europe. It's been estimated that up until 1960, some 40% of all motion pictures were Westerns. The introduction of TV into the American household saw the rapid rise of the small screen Western. TV cowboys became the new Western heroes, and as a result, studios cut back severely on production of Western features. This gradual drought from Hollywood left a gap in the market. The time was right for a new breed of gunslinger to hit town. Between 1964 and 1973, over 500 Westerns were produced or co-produced by Italians. Sources vary as to the origin of the term Spaghetti Western. It's generally thought that it was a dismissive title adopted by American critics. But the Spaghetti Western was more than just an inferior imitation of a Hollywood institution. The movement was pioneered by dedicated filmmakers who put a distinctly Mediterranean stamp on the genre. Since becoming a republic after the fall of Mussolini in World War II, Italy had become increasingly tied to the West. The country had enjoyed substantial economic growth due to the industrialization of the North, despite growing poverty in the South.
Le nostre generazioni si sono ritrovate adolescenti nell'immediato dopoguerra a ricevere tutto in una volta 10 anni di cinema americano, 10 anni di letteratura americana, cioè tutto quello che il fascismo aveva bloccato dagli anni 30 fino alla fine della guerra, ci è arrivato addosso tutto insieme. In quegli anni ho conosciuto un giovane aiuto regista magro, con nasone, famelico, che si chiamava Sergio Leone. E che ci siamo subito trovati, perché devo dire, come succede tra sceneggiatore e autore, è una specie di innamoramento intellettuale, cioè si trova sulle stesse idee.
In the 1960s, if you said Italian cinema to people, they'd say, oh yes, Pasolini, Fellini, Visconti, you know, and so on, all of whom came from northern Italy, a very particular region of them. And they made movies that were shown at international festivals, and they won lots of awards. They were art movies. Leone came from Rome, his family came from Naples, and he belonged to a southern Italian culture of filmmaking. What Pasolini referred to very patronizingly as the belching stomach of Italy, Cinecittà Studios, pouring out these movies for the masses, bread and circuses. But Leone had no hang-ups about that.
Il cinema italiano produceva 200 film all'anno e Molti di questi film di genere, erano film di imitazione di generi che venivano da fuori.
And directors would pretend that these were American films. So they'd all hide under pseudonyms, not to convince the Americans that they were American, but to convince the Italians that they were American, because Southern Italians love watching American movies.
More people went to the movies in Italy than anywhere else in Europe. Television as a household item was still some years away, and every small village across the land had at least one cinema.
The Italian popular film industry has a very particular structure to it, or did have in those days, that you'd get a really successful movie and it would spawn hundreds of imitations, and it would kind of energize the whole industry until it completely ran out of puff. Nobody went to see it, and then it would just collapse again. And then suddenly a new craze would come along. It had happened in the late 50s with a film called Hercules, starring Steve Reeves as Hercules. So you get Hercules, Ursus, Samson, Machiste the Mighty versus Zorro. You know, literally hundreds of muscle man movies between 1958 and 1960, and no one wanted to see muscle man. Finish. The end. So there's a big, big slump. What is going to be the next big movie that gets the Italian film industry going again?
The main stimulus for the spaghetti western seems to be the German production companies began making a series of films based on the books of Karl May, with an Apache hero called Winnetou and his sidekick Old Shatterhand, who were a sort of Lone Ranger and Tonto team. And they were certainly very successful in Germany and Italy and France, and that attracted producers from Italy and France and Spain and Germany to go and try and make westerns of their own.
By 1963, the Italians had yet to enjoy a major hit in the Western genre. Sergio Leone would change this.
Io cominciai vedendo un film giapponese, si chiamava Yojimbo, la sfida del samurai di Akira Kurosawa, e la cosa che mi aveva incuriosito era che Kurosawa aveva preso questa idea da un libro nero americano di Hammett che era Raccolto Rosso. E quindi io dico, perché non rimportare, ecco, in patria attraverso un western questo film? Mi pare che avesse tutti gli schemi precisi.
E un giorno mi telefonò e mi disse: vate a vedere il film di Kurosawa, si chiama Yojimbo, la vendetta del samurai. Ma perché? Cioè, si può fare un western. Io dico, un western in Italia.
Leone knew that he needed an American star to make or break a fistful of dollars. He drew on his vast knowledge of Hollywood westerns to select his leading man, but the $15,000 purse only elicited rejections from his first choices: Henry Fonda, James Coburn, and Charles Bronson.
Sergio Leone brings to it all that knowledge of the Western, the disillusionment with what had happened to the Western, a love of Hollywood combined with a dislike of what Hollywood stood for. He couldn't bear the ideology of John Wayne. Let's have a youthful hero. Let's not have a hero who's a senior citizen. And then one day, the Italian representative of the William Morris Agency asks the production company if they'd care to see an episode of Rawhide. As a result of that episode of Rawhide, they decided to cast Eastwood. $15,000 was all he was asking. He had a break in the filming of Rawhide. He wasn't allowed to do movie work in America by contract, because he was on a long-term contract for Rawhide, but he was allowed to make movies in Europe.
I went through the whole deal of being one of the young guys bopping around town on television series back in the 50s and 60s, and I guess when the dollar pictures came along, it gave me an opportunity to strike out.
With his costume in his suitcase, Eastwood traveled to Europe for the first time to star in what was then called The Magnificent Stranger. With a budget of $200,000, Leone and company would shoot the film at Cinecittà Studios in Rome and on location in Almeria, Spain.
Un giorno mi chiamano da Madrid, eravamo nel maggio del 64, dicendomi: Franco, cerca di venire subito a Madrid perché abbiamo cominciato il film, dobbiamo finirlo in 7 settimane, abbiamo bisogno di una mano. Io sono andato con entusiasmo, poi il giorno dopo ho conosciuto Clint Eastwood. Era molto dolce, molto gentile, molto appartato, perché non parlava la lingua.
He hadn't done too many films. He'd only done one film as a director prior to me working with him. He did a film called Colossus of Rhodes. I thought, geez, it's going to be something. We're working with this new guy. But everybody said what a great sense of humor he had and everything. It turned out he had a very good visual sense as well as a sense of humor. And he was bold. He was extremely bold. He was never afraid to try anything new. This was fun because we were breaking all kinds of rules.
Rico! Heard you wanted to see me.
La cosa curiosa da dire è che contemporaneamente per un pugno di dollari veniva prodotto un film che si chiamava Le pistole non discutono. Dei due, il più coccolato, sia dai coproduttori tedeschi che dalla produzione, era Le pistole non discutono. Il film di Leone era quasi un film un po' di recupero. Mi ricordo che io e Gianmaria ci prendevamo anche un po' in giro, così, ma guarda che strana avventura ci capita qua nella Spagna di Franco a fare in questo strano villaggio, fare questo film, perché poi nessuno di noi aveva pensato al western prima, capito?
See, I understand you men were just playing around, but the muley just doesn't get it. Of course, if you were to all apologize...
I'd just come off of Rawhide. I was still in Rawhide, and I didn't. I was working where everything was regimented. You didn't do anything. They still had the old adage where if you had a shot in a western, you couldn't have the gun and a person tied in together if there was a shot fired. It had to be separate cuts, and it was something left over from the Hayes office in the early days of censorship in Hollywood. But Sergio didn't know anything about that, and so I didn't tell him. It was a great adventure when it happened, and when it kind of clicked, it was naturally a great adventure for me because it led on to other things.
This man with no name is played by Clint Eastwood. He's going to trigger a whole new style in adventure.
Clint Eastwood thought it was still called The Magnificent Stranger when he went back to America. So when he read in Variety a small piece which said, there's a film called Fistful of Dollars, which is doing very well in Rome and is the hit of the season, he thought, well, that's interesting, but it's got nothing to do with me. And then suddenly someone told him, Fistful of Dollars is The Magnificent Stranger. My God, it's my movie, and it's doing well.
A Fistful of Dollars was a massive international box office smash and turned Eastwood into a star in Europe overnight. He would have to wait until 1967 for the film to be released in America due to a copyright infringement claim from Akira Kurosawa.
The distribution rights of Fistful of Dollars in Japan and what was then Formosa, Taiwan, went to Kurosawa Productions, and Kurosawa once said he made more money out of Fistful of Dollars than he did out of any of his own films.
By this time, Eastwood and Leone had reteamed for 2 more seminal westerns, For a Few Dollars More and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Though critically dismissed, the commercial impact of A Fistful of Dollars was undeniable. Italian producers wasted no time. The floodgates opened and a torrent of similar spaghetti westerns went into production.
A me è stato proposto urgentemente dalla stessa produzione, che prima era diffidente verso il regista seconda età, di fare per loro un film western.
Tutti i bravi aiuti registi hanno fatto l'esordio alla regia e da lì, quindi stiamo parlando degli anni 60.
Devo dire che in quegli anni, diciamo, la nostra produzione italiana, quella che consentiva di fare allora a livello industriale circa 300 film all'anno, era per il 50% sicuramente coperta dai western.
Mi ricordo che quando si scrivevano le sceneggiature del film, il momento che arrivava dopo qualche decina di minuti di scrittura, cioè allora adesso si devono menare. oppure adesso sparano, perché c'era questa necessità di avere action, action, action.
The cynical stranger character, as defined by Clint Eastwood, became the blueprint for the spaghetti western protagonist. Some imitators were more subtle than others.
Leone diede l'avvio a una nuova figura, un nuovo personaggio. Praticamente è vero che si ispirò al film giapponese, certamente, però già ai tempi qui da noi stiamo parlando adesso dell'epoca in cui già i fermenti sociali, politici in Italia erano abbastanza evidenti, cioè non bastava più la figura del buono che vince in nome della legge e instaura la legge dove non c'è. E allora venne fuori questo personaggio che era ambiguo, un personaggio che giocava su due fronti, che non voleva essere toccato dagli affari degli altri.
Lo spettatore si siede in sala, credo, almeno allora, ancora oggi, sceglie il suo protagonista e si immedesima in lui. Era quello che in quel momento dava la possibilità allo spettatore di dire: ah, adesso mi prendo il mio capo ufficio, me lo mangio, insomma.
Quello della moralità, sì, era proprio del western americano. La nostra violenza nei film era quasi molto più gratuita dei film americani, e di moralità ce n'era abbastanza poca, perché era molto spesso il protagonista era un cattivo.
So there was a sort of a cynicism and a glee about the murdering in spaghetti westerns, which if you were a teenage boy was very exhilarating.
Allora, questo desiderio è creare un personaggio che western quasi muto, perché se lei vede Django dialogo saranno 6-7 minuti in tutto il film. Uno che a ogni rumore spara, non ne frega niente di stare a parlare.
The tiny budget for Django did not allow for an American star.
When I was offered Django, I didn't say yes right away. I said, I have to think a few days. And because, in my mind, I want to be, a serious actor, an actor who comes from the Piccolo Teatro of Milan. I want to play, big roles. And I remember the same evening, I was in the car with my agent, Paola Petri, and the husband. The husband of my agent was Elio Petri, for me, the best Italian director of this century. He won an award for investigation of a private citizen in America. And he said to me, you have nothing to lose, just do it.
A woman shouldn't be treated in that way.
What's that you said?
It's not important. And if I bothered you, will you accept my apology?
Sergio Corbucci was fantastic too. One day, Corbucci said to Leone, I'm doing a Western with a new guy, you better come on the set and look at him. And he came on the set and he looked at me and he said, I think you're right. I said, I think that you have a good eye, this guy is gonna be successful.
Volevo fare qualcosa di speciale, a differenza degli altri western. E Corbucci mi propose la neve nel villaggio. E io dissi, mai la neve nei film western, porta male, proprio non lo farò mai. È costosa. E allora presi da tanti camion di terra pozzolana, si chiama, bagnata tutti i giorni con tanta acqua. E questo mi permetteva di avere un villaggio molto lugubre e particolare, non come gli altri, perché era o deserti o come.
Director Sergio Corbucci established a mood to Django, which was more reminiscent of a Gothic horror film than a traditional Western.
I think that Corbucci probably established the violent conventions of the spaghetti Western more than Leone did. Corbucci was much more of the mold that violence could just burst in from the side at any moment. You know, it's a very unpredictable, murderous universe. Where he really went for it and said, okay, now I'm going to do exactly what I want. I'm not actually going to sort of pay any homage to the old style of Westerns. I'm really going to sort of take the spaghetti Western and see how far I can push it, you know, into a whole realm of sexual sadism and, you know, the torturing and semi-crucifixion of the hero and all of this stuff, you know, which later became part and parcel of the genre. I think that was Corbucci's creation.
Django, che fu il primo unico western vietato ai minori di 18 anni. C'era un problema di un orecchio, il taglio di un orecchio nel film, che era un po' una scena violenta, e allora mi consigliarono la censura di togliere e fu vietata a 18 anni. Solo che io dimenticai di tagliare questo pezzetto in tutte le copie, e allora ci fu 2 o 3 copie, mi sembra, una a Torino che rimase con l'orecchio, e ebbe un gran successo. La stampa sottolineò questa scena come di estrema violenza. E questo scatenò Bari, Palermo, Napoli, dicevano ma come non ce l'abbiamo?
The box office success of Django made quite an impression. Over 30 unofficial sequels were released. It would seem that intellectual property was not too much of a concern in the Italian industry of the 60s and 70s.
Italian movies, they were trying to take advantage of one successful movie. So when Django was so successful, they started to call so many movies, Django here, Django there. You know, you cannot do anything. I remember when Django opened in Germany, it was so successful that most of my movies for 10 years, they called them Django. Django with the Mafia, Django was the shark hunter, many.
Franco Nero became one of Italy's biggest stars and would often return to the genre that made his name. He and Clint Eastwood were not the only actors to find fortune in the Italian West. Actors from the U.S. and all over Europe were making their ways to Italy to be a part of this thriving movement in popular cinema. Some were former stars no longer commanding leads in Hollywood. Others were character actors eager to move their careers up a notch. Lee Van Cleef paid his dues in Hollywood for years in bit parts and walk-ons before Leone cast him in for a few dollars more and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Van Cleef never looked back and became one of Europe's biggest box office names on the back of several notable spaghettis.
A lot of them are co-productions with small production companies sharing the risk 3 ways. So, you know, West German company, Spanish company, Italian company with Italian major interest, with one German actor, one Italian actor, one Spanish actor, and whoever is above the title depends on the territory it's being distributed in.
European character actors such as Klaus Kinski, who was German, and Fernando Sancho, Spanish, found constant work in the Italian West. The language barrier wasn't a problem because almost all the spaghettis were shot silent.
Now, in this film, I noticed that you're not recording any direct sound.
Speech usually in westerns of minor importance because we use every nationality, French, Mexican, American. It is often better for the actors to count than to speak. For example, the Frenchman would say, un, deux, trois. The American says, one. That means yes, but it could mean anything. It's unimportant. That's why I hate westerns.
After this, Mr. Corbucci, what films will you do?
A western, naturally.
If I kill you, I'll be glad, you hear?
You saw that woman shoot first.
With The Great Silence, Sergio Corbucci found another way to circumvent potential language issues by making his lead character mute.
I think The Big Silence is definitely the best of Corbucci's films. It might be the best spaghetti western. Kinski was never better. There's no better protagonist than Trentino either, and the performance without words is quite brilliant. And again, Corbucci takes risks, because whereas Leone would pretty much always do his westerns wherever they were supposed to be happening, he'd always go back to Almeria, shoot the same bit of desert, you know, same western town in all the films. Corbucci would say, okay, well now I'm going to do a western in mud, you know, now I'm going to do a western in the snow. It's like he was really trying to push back the boundaries and do things that were a little bit different, while at the same time, you know, remaining true to a genre that he'd helped create.
Tell me where he is and I'll let you go.
I don't know.
Oh, no. You know all right. He was with you in the mountains.
I don't know where he went to. I swear I don't. Let me go.
Normally in Corbucci's films, the hero is like just royally messed up by the end. I mean, normally his hand has been stuck in a fire or been trodden on by horses' hooves or something. Nevertheless, like Mifune in Yojimbo, like Eastwood in A Fistful of Dollars, he comes back at the 11th hour to save his friend or to save the innocents. So Silence does that in the Big Silence, and you think, yeah, you know, this is the end of the movie. He's going to kill them all in spite of his injuries, and then he'll ride away. And he doesn't, because he shows up and they just shoot him through the window. They're utterly heartless, just like guys like that would really be. Corbucci was just saying, okay, well now I'm going to show you what it would really be like.
Credo che la cosa più giusta da fare sia di spendere qualche parola sul termine western all'italiana e western spaghetti. Western all'italiana è accettabile perché tecnicamente è così. Sono dei western che sono stati girati da produzioni italiane con gran parte di troupe italiana. Western spaghetti è un'altra cosa. Western spaghetti è una terminologia che io trovo orrenda.
Mi sembra, sì, io non sono molto fiero se uno mi dice ma tu hai fatto spaghetti western, non è che... mi sembra queste semplificazioni ironiche che vanno accettate.
È carino, è accettabile, non mi sono mai sentito offeso, anzi è divertente.
E inizialmente credo che sia stato dispregiativo, perché era quel tentativo degli italiani di fare con lo stile americano dei film. Però poi è diventato un marchio di fabbrica importante.
Call them what you will, the Italian Western was showing no signs of slowing down. The template set out by Leone, Corbucci and company brought a fresh cinematic language to the Western genre, setting them apart from their Hollywood forebears.
When Lola rings the bell, right?
All right. Ma io direi che noi abbiamo elaborato il cinema americano, il western americano, più che la storia del west americano.
An idiom is found which Italianizes the western. The look, Almeria in southern Spain for the locations, dust, sand, doesn't look anything like Arizona, but they thought it did. The extras, all those gypsy faces from Spain, wonderful sort of pockmarked faces.
There was a visual stylishness. They were pretty much all made in Techniscope, which was this somewhat cheaper version of shooting films in the CinemaScope aspect ratio, and that did give filmmakers, if they were good, an opportunity for some very interesting compositions. You know, you could do real things with depth. You could have something big in the foreground and something very far away, because you had such a huge, wide frame.
A lot of Roman Catholic iconography in these films. Crosses, angels, priests, coffins, cemeteries. You always get these conclusions in a cemetery. You know, there's a lot of that imagery, because remember, the audience in southern Italy is is a Roman Catholic audience, you know, so that iconography chimes with their own experience. It makes it come home.
Pray for forgiveness to Almighty God.
I think the morality of them was jarring, the cynicism, the large numbers of people that were killed, the weirdness of the villains, because the villains were often extraordinarily eccentric. I think all of those dissonant elements, which might just have never come together and never made any sense, somehow in the hands of the real masters, in the hands of Leone and Corbucci and a few other directors, they, you know, all of those dissonant and weird, outlandish and inappropriate elements all gelled and made very interesting films.
One of the most distinctive elements of the spaghetti western was the music, and no man defined the soundtrack of the Italian West quite like Ennio Morricone.
Io avevo fatto già precedentemente 2 western e un arrangiamento di una canzone per un disco, è una canzone country. Lui sentì Sergio Leone, l'arrangiamento che fece per la canzone country, gli piacque moltissimo e quindi volle che io riportassi quest'idea di questo arrangiamento, l'arrangiamento, che era mia opera, mia invenzione, lo riportassi al Pugno di Dollari. Questo ha dato luogo un po' a poi agli altri 2 film successivi che ho fatto con Leone.
I think Morricone was really lucky to meet a director like Sergio Leone. It was really a dream for a composer to have heard from the directors say, you write the music and I'll shoot after with the music, listening to the music.
Io non volevo fare un western come quelli di Leone con Corbucci. Del resto, quando ho fatto i western, quei rari che ho fatto con Giulio Petroni e con altri autori, io ho cambiato proprio le carte in tavola rispetto a Leone.
With the Italian Western market flooded and social change in the air, it was inevitable that the format would have to evolve in order to survive.
'66, '67. It's the time of Vietnam, the Vietnam War, Che Guevara, Bob Dylan, all that kind of world. And so a political version of the Italian Western begins to emerge as sort of phase 2 of the Italian style.
Questo eroe che si batteva da solo, individualista, non è retto più. Era il momento delle masse, il momento della collettività. Nascevano movimenti dove si chiedeva lo spirito di corpo, lo spirito di classe, lo spirito della generazione, e questo era il solitario.
The Juarez gold you hid for us. Let's go and get it now. End the revolution and great living, eh?
The Juarez gold is for the people of Mexico to overthrow Diaz, not for you.
These are very, very popular in Italy, but they're also very popular in what was then called the Third World. In Africa and Morocco and those sort of territories, these films which have a sort of edge, a very fashionably liberal attitude on the side of the wretched of the earth against the imperialist power.
Morimos porque queremos tierra y libertad. ¡Que viva México!
Bullet for the General is one of the better spaghetti westerns. The fact that it's got a political agenda and the fact that you can see it as an analogy for American intervention in Latin America doesn't stop it being a very entertaining film.
Guardi, qui c'è un errore fondamentale, perché il mio film non è un film western.
Damiano Damiani always says that it isn't really a spaghetti western, it's a political movie about the Mexican Revolution. I'm not sure whether that's right or not. I mean, to me, it looks like a Western.
Here we are!
Secondo me, se si fa un film in un altro paese con altri personaggi, non si fa un film sull'America, questo mi sembra chiaro. Quello che ho fatto io, la storia che ho fatto io con questo film che voi citate, è una storia che si svolge nella zona messicana. Ecco, l'eroe è un eroe messicano, la rivoluzione è una rivoluzione di tipo messicano.
The analogy was pretty clear. In the mid-60s, no, everyone was very cynical about the intentions of the US government and its attitude towards Latin America and the Third World. I mean, then as now.
Senor, are you an American? Senor, do you like Mexico?
No, not very much. This way!
A Bullet for the General was co-written by Franco Solinas, an Oscar-nominated Marxist writer and major figure in Italian political filmmaking. Solinas would go on to co-write The Mercenary for Corbucci and The Big Gun Down, the first of three important Italian westerns by the third Sergio Sollima.
Io prego sempre i critici di guardare questi, i miei western, come film, poi come western, ma come film. È un film, ti piace questo film? No, bene, meno male. Ti piace? Sì, è un film. Non perché appartiene a un genere.
Run! Stop there! Get him! Shoot!
All three of Solima's westerns starred a Cuban native trained at the Actors Studio in New York, and one of the Italian western's most charismatic leading men, Thomas Millian.
I told you, querida, I'll be back right away, you see? Eh?
As a man, Thomas Millian, in life, acts. And in the movies, tried to live. So my life, my real life, is represented in the movies.
Io ero convintissimo di Thomas perché ero convinto del personaggio. Intanto è sempre nella mia battaglia contro il genere western, perché negli altri film western non c'era Cucillo, il personaggio di Cucillo, hanno messo tutti i messicani, però sono tutte cose fasulle. Invece il personaggio di Cucillo è uno scugnizzo napoletano, un ragazzo, un giovanetto, un peon, un sub-peon.
The fact that I was Latino made me love my characters even more, because I always had inside my head, you son of a bitch, I mean, towards the bounty killer, towards the Anglo that is racistically treats me in a certain way. So that fed my anger.
You can't do this to me. I am part of the Salvation Army. Señorita, por favor.
E nel caso specifico, ci tenevo a questo, è l'unico che non sa nel West che non sa adoperare una pistola. Difatti quando gli danno la pistola lui dice no, dammi il coltello, cioè l'arma del subproletario. E questo l'ho inventato, dico l'ho inventato io, non l'ha inventato né Sergio Leone naturalmente, né negli americani.
I didn't care really about politics. I was ignorant as Cuchillo was. That's why I was so good in all those stuff. The actors are being used, so you don't have to be political. You have to be like a ideological whore.
insomma, polemizzo con chi chiama politici i miei, mentre accetto con piacere che c'è un fondo ideologico.
Cioè Sollima voleva che tutto avesse un significato, che fosse spiegato, infatti abbiamo avuto molti contrasti su questo, perché io ero di scuola leoniana, Leone diceva tutto è indiretto.
Sergio Leone, the man who kick-started the spaghetti western movement, was still pioneering the genre his way.
Time sure flies. It's already past 12.
Era un filmmaker, un regista, quindi ha preso il western come un genere narrativo grande dove c'è tutto, la storia, l'emozione, i sentimenti, ma poi purtroppo ecco, si è messo sulla via del sempre più grande, sempre più, dicevo, ecco, la crisi gli è scoppiata durante il buon Spaguetti, durante l'edizione, perché voleva qualcosa sempre di più, sempre di più, sempre di più, e ci fece soffrire tutti da morire.
Once Upon a Time in the West was a big-budget production co-financed by Hollywood studio Paramount Pictures.
La sua intenzione era quella che quello fosse il suo ultimo western e doveva essere veramente il culmine. L'intenzione nostra era effettivamente quella, era la fine del West, no? Quando questa ferrovia ha raggiunto la costa orientale, è finita l'avventura.
Leone and, of course, the other makers of Italian westerns were very much prophets without honor in their own country. And somehow the Italian film establishment, I think, couldn't forgive these people for not making movies about Italy.
Other producers had to find ways to make their westerns stand out from the pack without the luxury of a big budget. In some cases, it was an elaborate title like Cloud of Dust, Cry of Death, Sartana is Coming, or Pray for the Dead and Kill the Living. In other instances, gimmicks were employed to add spice to the overworked formula. Spaghetti westerns were often over the top, but some were extreme.
Io avevo fatto la guerra militando in gruppi militari irregolari, in bande irregolari, ho fatto la resistenza, per cui conoscevo e venivo abbastanza fresco da tutti gli orrori della guerra, del movimento di bande armate, degli assalti ai villaggi, delle sparatorie, tutte cose che conoscevo di prima mano. Questo western portò alla memoria delle cose che conoscevo e con molta passione cercai di raccontarle.
Ma questo è oro! 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 Oro!
And by then I'd seen spaghetti westerns, was quite used to them, but I wasn't prepared for the dementia and the weirdness of Giulio Questi's film. Is very explicit in its homoeroticism, in the way that most westerns are implicit. I mean, you can say all westerns have a homoerotic element in them. But Django Kill makes it utterly explicit. There's a whole gang of guys who dress in black fetish gear and rape young boys.
Era divertente pensare al West, popolato soprattutto da omaccioni violenti, anche un mondo, perché no, di omosessuali. Non c'era niente di strano, anzi.
It's better than any party.
Praticamente il western diventò un contenitore di qualsiasi cosa. E allora la natura del western venne meno. E a quel punto io mi domandai, ma visto che nel western si può calare tutto, mi venne l'idea di farne addirittura un musical. E dovevamo continuare su questa strada, se non che il protagonista, cioè Franco Nero, fu, io dico, rapito. Cioè praticamente arrivò in Almeria Joshua Logan, che stava preparando Camelot. Vide Franco Nero, disse, ah, questo è un attore formidabile, mi piace, mi piace, mi piace. Morale, non c'è stato niente da fare. Ha mollato tutto, l'ha portato in America e poi ha fatto una carriera tutta americana, Camelot, eccetera, eccetera. E così è nato questo rimpianto di Franco Nero, perché si stava fermando il cinema italiano. Cimentavo un altro Franco Nero, non potevo avere l'originale, prendevo un attore che allora si chiamava Mario Girotti, l'abbiamo vestito, truccato con gli stessi abiti di Franco Nero, lo stesso trucco. Abbiamo fatto una serie fotografica, siamo andati alla società che lo doveva produrre e distribuire, l'abbiamo sottoposto e abbiamo detto, ecco, noi siamo pronti per l'altro film. Non abbiamo detto che non era Franco Nero. Quest'anno hanno avuto le fotografie, ah sì, sì, sì. Bene, ecco, Franco è proprio, l'hanno scambiato per Franco Nero.
Mario Girotti became Terence Hill, the last spaghetti western superstar.
Look, Major, it'd be nice if you told your men not to bother the farmers anymore. It ain't nice to hurt peaceful people like that.
And then, as chapter 3 of the Italian Western, you get parodies and comedies. Typically, in these cycles, they begin straight, Fistful of Dollars. You get offshoots, the political Italian Western. But then you get parodies. As it runs out of steam, a lot of people take the mickey out of the films that they've been going to the previous season. And in the case of the Italian Western, you get the Trinity films with Terence Hill and Bud Spencer, who are the kind of Laurel and Hardy of the Italian Western.
Ain't you got no ambition in life? Do something. Rustle cattle, hold up a stagecoach, or play cards or something. Once you were a good card shark, but do something.
Who's got the time? I'm already busy doing nothing.
They Call Me Trinity was the Italian Western's biggest success since The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. With that success came the inevitable sequels, the spin-offs, and the rip-offs.
I think that the Trinity films, in the end, killed the spaghetti western the way the spaghetti western killed the American western.
The way they poked fun at the genre, I don't think people could take the western seriously anymore.
Leone non proprio non gli piaceva questo genere, disse io non capisco, a me non mi fa ridere.
Leone reacted to the new trend by producing a film which held a mirror up to the genre and what it had become. My Name is Nobody starred Terence Hill in a role not too far removed from Trinity, a young, smart-mouthed, quick-draw gunslinger, alongside Hollywood mainstay Henry Fonda as an aging outlaw on the verge of retirement.
You know what they say? He could draw his gun 3 times before the other fella even starts reaching. Like this. Hup, hup, hup. Hey. Well, we gotta shoot it out, I'm ready.
And the whole idea was it was the confrontation between the Leonian West, or as it has been usurped by the Trinity West, and Henry Fonda, who would be the Hollywood Western.
So you're juxtaposing Trinity doing all these slapstick things with this very charismatic national monument of the American Western. And in a way, My Name is Nobody is the afterword to the Italian Western. It sort of closes the book.
Your end in history. Your end in history.
New genres flooded the Italian industry in the early 70s. from stylish murder mysteries driven by Dario Argento's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage to urban action thrillers.
By 75, 76, I think the last spaghetti western, or the last couple of great spaghetti westerns made were Chioma, which is a Castellari movie starring Franco Nero, and A Man Called Blade. I think they're termed the Twilight spaghetti westerns. They're very, very dark and gloomy.
Il motivo per cui fu girato tra nebbie e piogge è anche il fatto che l'unico villaggio western esistente in Italia, quello dell'antica Helios, era ormai fatiscente. Rimetterlo a posto avrebbe, cioè ristrutturarlo, riedificarlo avrebbe avuto dei costi molto, molto violenti, per cui con la nebbia i campi lunghi erano più coperti e di conseguenza e quindi poi raccontavo questa città quasi abbandonata.
4 cents is mighty little.
The price of 4 bullets. 1, 2.
Il voler fare un altro western quando ormai era finito il genere è stato un accordo tra Franco Nero e me. Chioma è stato un evento e si pensava che fosse tornato il genere western in Italia e diversi miei colleghi hanno tentato di fare altri western dopo Chioma, ma fu un flop per tutti.
Poi, come al solito, gli italiani rovinano le cose belle che fanno. Mi ricordo, io avevo una casa a Todi, un piccolo paese carino, una cittadina deliziosa. C'erano 3 cinema. In uno facevano il western, gli altri 2 facevano 2 western. Proprio è farsi il male da soli, che è la cosa tipica degli italiani, il masochismo. Masoch è una delle icone italiane perché si è buttato una fonte di... poteva durare fino adesso. Chi lo impediva? Chi lo impediva? Poteva durare con criterio. Invece ci sono buttati tutti che con 4 soldi, 2 cavalli, uno e l'altro. Alla fine questo è il western spaghetti che io odio.
The first impact of the Italian Western was on the American Western. Then it broadens out into action movies in general. The first impact is on Peckinpah, who once said that he'd never have made The Wild Bunch if it hadn't been for Sergio Leone.
I mean, a film like Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, they're very influenced by this sort of spaghetti mythos and the spaghetti attitude to violence.
I don't think it's too much to say that the modern action hero is born with the Italian Western. And by that I mean a hero who isn't a hero because he crusades and stands for something. He's a hero because he's hip, he dresses smartly, and he's very, very cool.
The character that Schwarzenegger plays or Bruce Willis plays, the merciless, wisecracking revenge hero.
And then, of course, you get that more recently, Tarantino and Rodriguez, John Woo also. In fact, there's a study to be written about the impact of Italian Westerns on Kung Fu movies, on the Hong Kong film industry in the 1970s, and thence the formation of John Woo.
Sono appassionato perché è stato un momento d'oro per il cinema italiano.
The Southern Italians now have television, they have satellite, they have terrestrial, non-terrestrial, they have everything everyone else has. And that aspect of the Italian film industry is gone completely. So it's a kind of end of an era of Italian filmmaking, that wonderful, gutsy, popular Italian filmmaking.
It was a type of cinema that became together like a cult. And I think it helped the fact that we were all non-Americans doing an America genre very seriously.
Sa che è capitato col western? Che ci ha dato un po' la sensazione della grande famiglia. Là c'è stato un momento in cui 3/4 del cinema italiano stava tutto in Almeria. a girare western. Quindi si era creato quasi uno spirito di corpo. E abbiamo fatto una bella favola, ecco, questo sì.